Hey All in This Life family, it's me MJ again. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. Today I'm sitting with someone I've been following for quite some time who does a lot of interesting work in the educational space and is a hectic CrossFitter. I want you to meet Francois Naude. How are you?
Very well, thank you for having me.
So we know each other, what, just over a year I think now?
Yeah, like year and a half.
And when I met you, you were a little bit bigger than you are now.
Yeah, slightly. I would have filled up your studio space a bit more. They said the camera puts on 10 pounds, but I think I would have filled the screen.
Guys, you should see how he used to look. Now, my thing is, I followed the way that you lost weight, specifically because I know that how difficult, number one, that is. I've been in that space. But for you, there was transition happening at the time. And there's a reason I asked you if we can talk about everything, because I want to talk about that transition. But first of all, let us go into the education, because in this show, actually, by coincidence, we have met at least 4 people and we talk about the education space in South Africa and how people have had to make decisions to move out of the South African education space because it wasn't working for them. Now you work for UJ until maybe next week. You'll be working for UJ in the education space. Tell us a little bit about what it is you do.
So I want to rewind a little bit. I was a teacher in the public school system for 5 years. And then following that, I went into private school, high school. I'm teaching biology specifically. And then in 2014, I got offered a position at the University of Johannesburg to train teachers. So for the last 5 years, I've been involved with the University of Johannesburg in training teachers.
So you have this YouTube channel, right? Because that's how I actually started seeing your stuff. And it gets a lot of traction actually, because I don't think teachers have as many resources as you're making available to them. And the stuff that you're sharing on Instagram, what made you start the YouTube channel in the first place?
Yeah, that's a very interesting time in my life. So I started the YouTube channel in 2016, but basically what happened is like the build up to the YouTube channel came from about 4 years. So in 2011, 2012, I won the National Teachers Award for Excellence in Secondary School Teaching. And like just after winning the award, my supervisor of my own master's study, Professor Joseph de Beer, he asked me, wouldn't I want to come and do a motivational talk for first year education students? Yes, and I sat there and I thought, that would be amazing. What can I share with these students? And I remember like doing the typical thing that people do with motivational talks. I went straight to PowerPoint and I thought, okay, let me create this PowerPoint production and stuff that I can teach first year education students about teaching. Yes, and I spent probably a whole weekend on this thing. And I thought, when I was just done, I was like, this is boring. I'll never want to sit through this presentation in my life. So I thought, what can I do just to spice it up? What would be a nice framework that would resonate with these first year students? And it came to me because in 2011, 2012, the Marvel Cinematic Universe just started getting going. All of the superhero movies were like just coming out and people were really onto that bandwagon. And I thought, that's a nice thing. Let's build this presentation around the concept of every teacher can be a super teacher.
Oh, yeah.
So I did this presentation. It's like, you're a first year teacher. You're basically in school, you're in university to learn what your superpower is. And what's the superpower that you can bring into the classroom. And after that presentation, it really went down well with the students. It really resonated with them. So much so that the academics at the university at the time told me that even in their final exams, they were still referencing this thing about being a super teacher. And I started following YouTube in 2013, 2014, really starting to subscribe to channels, getting to know what is this thing that's not mainstream TV, and it's a YouTube channel. So I started following other YouTube channels, and it just stuck with me that, you know what, how cool would it be if there was a YouTube channel for teachers? Somewhere that teachers can go just like when they feel down or when they need resources, like, can I go somewhere? So I've already been doing social media on Facebook for teachers for probably since 2007 when Facebook came out. And I thought, let me start this YouTube channel. But it took me a full-on 2 years to get the guts to go and sit in front of a camera, look into the camera and say, hi, my name is Francois Naude and I am a super teacher.
But you're so comfortable in front of the camera now.
Now
though.
I am. I come from a background of the performing arts. So I had 5 years worth of training at the University of Johannesburg's Art Center. Did musicals and plays and so forth, both on stage and backstage.
Well, wait, does that mean you can sing?
I can hold a note, but I haven't really tested my singing voice in a while, so I won't do that to your audience. So I come from a performance background, but always on stage. Never in studio setup or in front of a camera. So something happens once you sit in front of a camera, you can have all the confidence in the world.
Yes.
Look into that lens and you go,
Blank.
where's my words? So if you watch those initial videos on my YouTube channel, number one, I'm fat, okay, so I'm huge, and number two, the confidence wasn't there. It's like, and I was reshooting every single video multiple times, where I'm now in a space where I'm quite comfortable in front of the camera and knowing that, you know what, this is just a conversation. So long story short, in 2016 I took the plunge, and in August of 2016 I decided, I'm going to do this. I'm absolutely going to start this YouTube channel and see where it goes. And I'm now in a stage where I've resigned from my job at the University of Johannesburg, where I'm going to pursue this full time.
What has the response been like to your YouTube channel? Because I imagine in South Africa, this kind of information or even resonating with teachers and their struggle is nobody's even on their side at this point. I mean, most parents are just complaining about the teachers all the time, but we don't see it from the other side.
So I think that was one of the big reasons for me embracing social media, is because I wanted to take away the stigma about teaching. Teaching doesn't have a good reputation, especially in our country. Teaching isn't seen as this prestigious job.
Yes.
So I thought of using my platforms to promote teaching, to show what it is that teachers actually do. You know, everybody thinks they know what teaching entails, because everybody spent time in schools. I mean, you've been in the school benches for about 12 years of your life, give or take a few years, and you've seen a teacher every day of your life. So you reckon you know what it is to be a teacher. And then the typical thing, we see teachers like leaving at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, teaching is a half-day job. It's so easy.
And you get holidays.
You get 4 holidays a year. I mean, teaching, how difficult can it really be? Because it's like babysitting. You've got 35 kids in your class. You keep them busy for about 45 minutes, and then they leave. And then you get a new group and you just do exactly the same thing with them. This is the perception of teachers. You don't see teachers rolling in Ferraris and Porsches and Mercs.
Not at all.
You don't see that. You always hear this thing about teachers and the salary. And we do it to ourselves, because many of us talk about bad salary that teachers have, and we want to compare our salaries with other occupations. People then have a lesser view of teachers than they would have of somebody that's a medical doctor or an accountant or a chartered accountant or an attorney. Where I thought, let's use social media and let's build this reputation of teaching, because there's a lot of super teachers out there that work their butts off, and they really have every single child's best interest at heart. But we never get to see what they do behind the scenes.
That's true,
so my whole concept behind not only my YouTube channel, but the social media in general, is let's give a platform, let's give a voice to teachers and create this community of super teachers and showcase this is what teaching can be. Because at the end of the day, we feel we want to make a positive difference in each and every child's life in our class.
Because they're the future here anyway, so they start with teaching.
It's such a cliched thing. Children are the future of this country. Teachers is the most important job, because we train all of the other professions. But we don't get treated with that prestige like they do in countries like Finland and Singapore.
That's actually really interesting, because the thing that my gripe with the education system is the difficulty that it seems for some of our children to fit in, because they are not understood. I come from a remedial background. We have 2 children in my house are remedial, and we have an autistic kid in my house. So, but we've had issues with the general schooling system, understanding where our children fit. And the only reason I knew my son was remedial was because I have remedial experience, but my mother had the same struggle. Do you think that makes teachers' jobs that much more complicated? Because they, other than the amount of work that they're being inundated with from the government, they also have to identify these children's unique gifts, and at the same time whether there is a learning disability or not.
Look, the education system as it is, and I don't mean just in South Africa, I think globally, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think the education system as we currently see it is redundant. The idea that we're trying to educate children in groups in a generic way, in almost a one-size-fits-all way, is just not suitable for the 21st century if we have to use cliches. We are still, we are using curriculum that comes from the 20th century for an environment or a context that still looks like the 19th century. Remember, schooling developed as part of the Industrial Revolution to try and train workers. The school system is built in such a way to train employees, where the school system doesn't necessarily, on an individual level, cater for that individual's interest. So I don't think that's a South African problem. I think that's a global problem. And we're seeing a lot of other innovative approaches, individualized approaches to teaching. But now, that being said, the education system is not going to change overnight. Schools, as they are, will always, or for a long time, still operate like they are. Teachers in the schooling system, they try their utmost best within a system that constrains them. I mean, just think about a grade 1 class with 50 or 60 kids in that class. You can't teach. That's not teaching. That's crowd control. That's what it is. It comes down to, I'm literally just surviving. Let's just get through this day. And that's no way to approach education.
And something that you love as well. It kind of makes you weary after a while, which explains why so many teachers complain about the work and why they're leaving teaching in such huge amounts. What is the consensus of the people that you are currently teaching to teach? What is their idea of what teaching is going to be like? Because I believe from your understanding, you giving them the tools to be able to cope with these scenarios that they're going to be thrown into, whether they like it or not. What is their idea or vision going forward when these things do happen and when they become weary and all of those?
It's quite challenging for our students. The teacher education system, I think, is doing the best within the system that we possibly can, because we've got the theoretical component and we've got this workplace, what we call work integrated learning component, where students get placed in schools and try and get as much practical experience in schools that they possibly can. But the feedback we're receiving from the students are, first of all, it's extremely difficult. The one of the big matters that they mention is discipline. How do I, as a 21, 22, 23-year-old young female individual, let's say for instance in a high school grade 12 class, how do I maintain discipline with 30 or 35 learners?
And half of them are probably taller than you.
So all of these things. So there are methodologies, there are ways to deal with this. But I mean, until you get into the school and you get to learn or try and practice this, it really becomes difficult to find the best methodologies that works for you. So the students that I deal with, many of them are extremely excited and positive, enthusiastic about becoming teachers and can't wait to get into the classroom to teach. But they do feel that there's this disjuncture between what is being taught theoretically and what plays out within the actual classroom. So, and which is called in academia, it's called the theory-practice divide. So we've tried many methods of bringing those two closer to each other, but at the end of the day, it comes down to that individual teacher in the classroom gaining the experience to deal with the matters as they come up. The challenge I have is that every classroom is unique. Every single teacher has to come up with their unique solutions. There is no one-size-fits-all
Yes.
generic solution for the challenges we have in the country. We can't use cliched words like, in the South African context, it is appropriate for a teacher to deal with a situation in
Like
this way.
ABC, yeah.
We can't. Every single classroom, the class next door to a teacher is different than the class that they're currently in. So my mission, my purpose is to motivate, inspire, and support teachers. And I work one-on-one with teachers to go and find those solutions in the classroom for their unique challenges. So to answer your question, the students are willing. They really want to go and make a difference. But the tools that they get at university are fundamental. It's very important for them to go through the process. But when do you actually learn how to drive your car? It's not during the practice rounds.
It's
when you're actually on the road driving, using the knowledge that you had, that you learned. So the first year of teaching is extremely important. We make or break teachers in that first year.
Oh, wow.
And then the first 5 years. If a teacher makes it through the first 5 years, there's a good chance that they're going to make it through to retirement.
Wow.
So, and then what we're seeing is there is support for teachers. I'm not for one moment saying that we don't have support for teachers, but in those first 5 years, we need to have bolstered support for our teachers to ensure that they are really coping with the stresses of the education system.
Wow, that makes it sounds like actually a lot more intense than you would think, because I mean you think people study mathematics or medicine or whatever and they make that sound so intense, but if you have to deal with the kind of situations we have to deal with in our homes with our kids and there's 50 of them in a class, you guys are saints.
Yep.
Honestly. But I want to come to a point that you mentioned. You were talking about this being your purpose. Now, my question has always been, like, we have a lot of teachers, in fact, in my family. And I've always asked them, like, why? Like, I said to you earlier, I have 4 kids. I'm not teaching none of them. Although I did homeschool for a good 6 months. And it went phenomenally better than I thought it would. And it was amazing. I learned things I didn't know. I can understand it from that point of view, but I was biased. Those are my kids. When it's other people's children, I have a whole other, idea in my head. But how did you develop your purpose through this? Because I can't imagine how difficult it must be. Like, I want to teach other people's children. I want to teach other people how to teach other people's children. This is my purpose. How did you come to that conclusion, basically?
Well, let's go back to when I was 17 years old. We ask children when they're 17, 18 years old, what do you want to do
when you finish school?
when you finish school? You're basically asking what you want to do. Well, it's such an important question. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? And it's such an unfair question to ask somebody that's 17 or 18 years old. Think about this for a moment. The way medical technology is advancing, children that are now, if you're under the age of 20, 25 at the moment, the likelihood of you reaching the age of 120 to 140 is quite good. So even us, we'll make 80 to 90 easily, I think.
I hope.
I'm bargaining on 120, but so if you ask somebody that's 18 years old, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? You're asking them what you want to do for the next 100 years.
Wow.
And I mean, that's a big responsibility and that's an unfair question. But being 18, I was being asked this question, what do you want to do? And I didn't have a clue. I had no idea. So in that stage, you start exploring what do you want to do, where you want to go. And I had this idea of becoming a teacher. And I actually approached one of my own teachers and I said, I think I want to become a teacher. And this teacher almost flipped out.
Really?
He said, there's no way you are becoming a teacher. You are destined for much more than becoming a teacher.
Well, he at least had your back.
But now, just think about the message that was portrayed there.
Yeah,
like, you're so much better.
My name is Bandilo Nkosi. I'm the Managing Director at Ashanti's The Events Company. This is my partner and Public Relations Manager, Tato Tekwane. And this is my partner and Chief Operations Manager, Tando Hlotshwai. We're based in the East Rand in Spruiteview, and we're a family business started by my late uncle. 5 years ago, we rebranded the company, and our logo is in remembrance to my late uncle. Within the 5 years, we've grown into a formidable small business, and our primary line of business is supplying equipment for events ranging from kiddies parties, weddings, concerts to corporate functions. We at Ashanti's understand that events represent a lifestyle, and whatever your choice of lifestyle, we can deliver. Our mission statement is to give back to the community in a meaningful way, and we go about that by hiring local youth for big events. We outsource from local entrepreneurs, and we host social events aimed to inspire the youth. Our goal is to grow into a nationwide company and to be recognized as South Africa's premier events company. We at Ashanti's bring your vision into reality.
I had no idea. So in that stage, you start exploring what do you want to do, where you want to go. And I had this idea of becoming a teacher. And I actually approached one of my own teachers and I said, I think I want to become a teacher. And this teacher almost flipped out.
Really?
He said, there's no way you are becoming a teacher. You are destined for much more than becoming a teacher.
Well, he at least had your back.
But now, just think about the message that was portrayed there.
Yeah,
like
the
you're so
teaching
much
is-
better.
So teaching is not necessarily a great thing to achieve.
Exactly. And this is being said from my own teachers. I mean, what do you say? So immediately I went, no, I'm not going to do teaching. I was influenced, and teaching got to the bottom of my list of things to do. So, long story short, I ended up doing a BSc in biochemistry and zoology, and I got my honors degree in zoology. But all this while, not really knowing what I wanted to do. So come my honors year, you get asked the same question. So you can't just be a professional student for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You kind of need to make a decision,
Yeah.
like how are you going to earn your money? My parents were like, yeah, sometime it would be nice for you to like buy your own stuff.
And I mean, biology and zoology, the careers are not really in your face. You kind of need to discover what is more interesting because there's a lot of options.
Exactly, it's very important what you said there. What's your interest? I think a lot of times we get mesmerized by this idea of money, and we just want to follow the pathway to money, and money is not the solution. But still, at that stage, I was clueless. I had no idea of what it is that I wanted to do with my life. Now, this is now somebody that's graduated with a degree, now got an honors degree.
Wow.
So now what am I going to do with my life? And I've got zero ideas, nothing. And I had a discussion with one of my lecturers, and she said, have you ever thought about teaching? And immediately I get these backflashes back to when I was in school. It's like, no, not teaching. I'm destined for so much more than teaching. And it dawned on me, you know what? Becoming a teacher is the best thing that a lazy student can do. And that was my consideration. I was like,
Wow.
you know what? While I sort out the rest of my life, let me try teaching. Do it because it's a half-day job, and I mean,
Yeah, it
4 holidays
seems
a
like
year,
all the
it's
benefits are
easy.
there, so-
let me do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I loved school, so going back into school would be easy.
You're one of the few people.
No, I loved school. Like, not necessarily the academic side of it. I loved being at school.
Okay.
So going back to school wasn't a challenge. So I, like with zero experience, I got into a school, got a position in the school, and I taught grade 9s. Now, if you ask any teacher, what is one of the most difficult grade groups to teach, grade 9s would feature in the top 2, guaranteed. I mean, it's 15-year-old children, hormones are just like on the peak. It's such a difficult group to teach, and there's 30 to 40 of them in a class.
Wow.
I taught 10 classes of grade 9s, So I've been repeating the same lesson over
You
and
like
over
walked
and over
into
again.
the lion's den.
And I absolutely fell in love with teaching.
Wow.
It's one of those cases where you just walk into a place and you realize this is where I belong.
Wow.
Without giving it any extra thought, I just accepted that this is where I have to be. I think we spend so much time with our heads trying to overthink the type of careers we need to get into.
Yes.
And we also say, you have to follow your heart. But I think there's a third one. It's like you have to follow your gut. Like when you embody, when I walked into that class and I enjoyed teaching and I saw these kids' eyes light up, that aha moment that teachers talk about. Like I felt it viscerally in my body. I felt it. This is what I want to do.
Wow.
And in that moment, I haven't developed my purpose yet. I just
It's
realized
a process, right?
at that stage, I just realized I enjoy this. I really like doing this.
You know what the book that I'm reading now says? It calls that the soul set. Because it comes from a place that is beyond you. The understanding that this is where I belong. But I think also I'm listening to how you went through your process. If you had become a teacher earlier, you probably wouldn't have much of the understanding about helping other people the way that you are now and teaching other people the way you are now if you decided to become a teacher at, say, 24 or 23 years old. So that wealth of years has actually served you.
Yeah. Experience was very important, but I think I've got many colleagues that studied a B.Ed degree for 4 years, got into the class and realized, like from the get-go, this is what I want to do. So I think the moral of the story here is everybody's got their unique journey in how they end up in teaching. That's such a negative thing to say. It's like I ended up in teaching, but I love the fact that I ended up in teaching.
Yeah.
We just had some research released. It's called the Teaching and Learning International Survey, which took a sample of 2,000 teachers in South Africa and then other teachers from other OECD countries. And they asked them a lot of questions about the state of teaching. And one of the questions that they were asked is like, was teaching your first choice? Like becoming a teacher, was that your first choice? And from the South African respondents, 50% of them said no. So half of the teachers who become teachers never decided to be teachers in the first place. That half ends up in teaching. But they asked them a second question, and they asked them, why is it that you want to be a teacher? And now that you are a teacher, like what's this about? And 98% of teachers said, I want to make a difference. I'm here because I want to make a positive difference in other people's lives. And I think that's the binding factor between any teacher. If you have a group of teachers together, it doesn't matter why they became teachers. It's that interest in the well-being of other humans, and especially young people, that really brings teachers together.
You need to consider also, sorry to interrupt you. You need to also consider the fact that the government is not making it easy to teach right now, and they're taking a lot of the discipline sort of situations away. The fact that they stay in the profession is not acknowledged enough because they're putting up with a lot more than we can in any of our other careers.
Despite the challenges, there are still many teachers who rock up every single day, passionate and willing to go and make that difference. And that is a super teacher. That's the community of teachers that I want to surround myself with, because that's how we keep each other motivated. That's how we keep each other positive about our job. And that then drives this process of making a difference.
Wow. So I want to get off the teaching topic now because I want to talk a little bit more about you. Because we all see you doing these things. And I mean, you are so hectic on Instagram, at schools, helping in the areas, that kind of thing. And it's always so interesting. But I've also watched your personal journey. And you don't share a lot of it. There was a hint that came out at one point. And I was like, did that really happen? Because you actually... you come across as a lot more quiet in person than you actually are, I think. But you had this weight loss journey that you've been going through. You and your brother were competing at one point. Are you still competing?
Yeah, it's always a competition. You've got that sibling rivalry is always there. But it's actually more of a friendly competition in the sense that we're motivating each other. And I mean, not having a gym buddy makes it very difficult to rock up to the gym. So having a brother like mine who's also dedicated to real exercise and the weight loss journey, and it's difficult for both of us. But having somebody that you can relate to and have a similar interest makes it that a little bit easier.
Because he's killing it. Like, I watch him some days because there's some days when he's alone there, and I'm like, how are you even doing all of these burpees? Like, I'm dying.
No, so my brother's 5 years younger than I am.
Really?
Yeah, and he actually started the CrossFit journey between the
Okay.
two of us, and I eventually joined later on. But I mean, he was the inspiration for me to join CrossFit and do that, because I saw the amount of fun he had, because that really resonated with him. So I thought, like, well, I'm going to give this a go.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, you lost this weight. Was there a reason why you decided to start losing weight? Because you're saying now in your video you are fat, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But-
No, let's not beat around the bush. I was fat.
Yeah, we were all there once. But was there a reason why you wanted to lose weight? Because I know you mentioned that you had gone through, I think it was a heartbreak and a divorce situation. Did it have anything to do with that? And what was the process of getting to where you are now like? Because I have my own journey, but I like to find out from other people, what, other than the weight loss, what did you gain from that journey?
So I don't get enough opportunity to talk about this. So thank you for providing the platform and asking the difficult questions. The reason why I lost weight, I lost 29 kilograms over 10 months.
That's a whole person.
That's a whole mini person. The reason for losing weight, or the initial motivation, I realized, I woke up one morning and I saw a photo of myself, and I just asked, like, who's this guy? And then I realized, oh crap, that's me. That's me. You've got this image in your head of what you look like and what you feel like. I mean, I feel strong and I feel great. And I just gradually realized that my health was deteriorating. I mean, for at that stage, 31, 32-year-old man to develop a gout, but severe gout.
Wow.
I mean, that doesn't ring. It's like you're thinking, oh, I've got gout. That should be
an old person's
Yeah, it's an
disease.
old person's thing. Why am I having it at 31? And now in retrospect, I'm realizing it was my lifestyle at this stage. I've always been active, but I've always, well, I think I ate more than I really exercised. I mean, I love food. Food is amazing. It's the best gift that we could have received. It's this thing, sugar. I mean, it's amazing. A good old cook sister.
That's why they say it's as bad as cocaine.
But it is. It really is. It's addictive. But I think I've thought about it the other day. I think over the span of 13 years, I picked up, I think that was 24 or 25 kilograms over that long period. So it's a gradual process. You start picking up the weight. But I made a decision on the 1st of January, typical for New Year's resolution.
Worked for me, so.
2018, the 1st of January 2018, I made this decision. I want to lose weight. I really want to get myself like healthy again because of some of the other medical challenges that I had. And I said, the goal I have for 2018 is I want to lose 12 kilograms. That's realistic.
Yes.
It's 1 kilogram a month.
Yeah.
And that's something that keeps you motivated. There's nothing worse than setting a goal too high and you're not reaching it. You get demotivated and you don't follow through. So I went like, let's do a kilogram a month. So did a lot of research on diet. Didn't want to go on a diet. I just wanted to change my eating habits.
Yeah.
So changed my eating habits, and then I think it was 3 months prior to that I started with CrossFit. But I didn't take it too seriously. I mean, I was there twice a week type of thing and really just messed around in class. And I decided, so from the 1st of January 2018, I'm going to eat better and I'm going to go to CrossFit 3 times a week, but I'm going to go with high intensity.
Yeah.
And it was in the first 2 or 3 weeks, I lost 5 kilograms. Just based on the decision and following through on my plan. But then 4 weeks into 2018, my wife at the time came home and said, François, I'm not happy anymore. I think we should get a divorce.
Just, NJ.
And that was the
No
end
warning.
of it. That was the end of my marriage.
Wow.
It was quite a blind side for me. It was quite the bomb that dropped in my life. Major upset for me. And I think my weight loss journey wasn't necessarily, or didn't start off as an emotional thing. But my exercise and my eating habits became a driving force through the emotional pain.
Okay.
I remember like vividly, there was this one day at CrossFit where we did running. Now, fat people don't run, eh? We don't like running. No, but part of the workout for the day was running. And I was in the middle of this run. I can't remember how far it was. In my mind, it felt like 5 kilometers. It was probably like 100 meters. I don't know. But in the middle of this run, I was so demotivated, so broken down. And I just remember thinking, regardless of what happens, because at that stage, it was quite early after the breakup. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I want my wife back. Let's see how much I can do. What can I do from my side to try and remedy this? And losing weight and like looking better always helps. So that was one of the motivations. But on that stage, in the middle of this run, I just realized that regardless, whether my wife decides to come back to me or not, this is good for me. This is good for me. And that's when it clicked. And I think that's where the shift came. It's like, I'm not doing this for anybody else.
Man.
This I'm doing for myself.
Yes.
And the high that got generated off of that decision. Yes, first of all, it started with myself, the weight loss, but then the breakup happened. And then everything in my life was just like, I want her back. I want to fix this. I absolutely want to fix this. And one way of fixing it is by fixing myself.
Oh.
And that just hit me in that moment. It's like, I'm not doing this for anybody else anymore. Now this is me. And then it becomes, I think then I just got hooked on the weight loss journey. It's like seeing results, putting in the work and seeing the results just gives you that momentum. And before long, I lost 29 kilograms.
You know what's so amazing about what you're saying is, and I so resonate with what you're saying, because I think most people, when they need to start a weight loss journey or get healthier for their own sake, for them it's a schlep. It's like, oh my word, I have to drag myself to gym every day. I have to make sure I'm not eating. But we out at parties and stuff, people are drinking and eating and doing all these things. Now I can't take part. But there's a point in everybody that has lost weight successfully's journey. Like I think it's like a 3-month point where you reach that milestone and then your mind shifts. And I think that shift happened with you like that because it happened for me like that as well. I mean, I lost 27 kilograms in about the same amount of time. And I was like, okay, I can do this. But the amazing thing is, and some of the things that I've been talking about this week is that when you realize you're able to do that, you realize you can do that in other parts of your life, which explains why you're resigning from your job. Because you realize success is actually bigger. You have to start in one place to recognize it in other places.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's such a transferable thing in my life. So just to give a bit more context to your audience, I enrolled in doing my Ph.D. in 2014. But so you have to see the timeline now. In 2014, I also started getting this idea of the YouTube channel. Now, being enrolled for a PhD and being a lecturer at the university, those two go together. But then also trying to, on the side, hustle and have a YouTube channel, social media presence. The two really, like, they're at loggerheads with each other. Got married in 2016.
Okay.
Also started the YouTube channel in 2016.
Yeah.
And this might even be one of the big reasons for the failure of the relationship. Is me trying to do all of these things at the same time and not working hard enough on the relationship or not taking notice of the issues that came up during the relationship. So that could have been one of the reasons. I mean, could have, would have, who knows. But in reflection, that's one of the things that I think of. But now, in 2016, I already had this idea of, I want to do this full time. I enjoy the YouTube channel. I enjoy working with teachers one-on-one. I want to do more of that. Where the PhD and my work as a lecturer, some of the things detracted from what it is that I wanted to do. So finished the PhD at the end of 2018, and then made the decision. You know what? Now I'm single. I don't have children. Financially, I'm in a space where I can give this a try. Let's see what happens if I put everything else aside and I just focus on my purpose. And the purpose which I developed, which I mentioned, is to motivate, inspire, and support teachers. And now every single thing that I do I put that purpose first.
That's a note I need to take. I need to write that in my journal.
This is not my idea. This is not something that comes from
No,
me.
but you know, we learn these things as we go along, and you have to purposefully look for this kind of information in order to find it. But I find that, like I was saying earlier, if you're looking for something, for instance, on the internet, you're thrown with 1,000 options. You actually have to have conversations with people who understand the journey of their purpose to get these nuggets, because those are questions I've had, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who are watching have had about how do I figure out what my purpose is. I know kind of what it is, but then how do I put it in the picture of my entire life?
And developing your purpose is difficult. It's not something that you just wake up with and I know what my purpose is.
Yeah, we wish it was that easy.
No, if it was that easy, I mean, everybody would pursue that purpose.
Yes, everyone would be millionaires.
Yeah, exactly. But I really do think when everybody starts putting purpose first, the rest of it's going to come.
Falls into place.
To give you an example, where I heard this concept or really explained to me very well was from a South African entrepreneur called Pepe Mare. So Pepe Mare is he's the founder of Joe Public, which is a marketing company.
Yes.
It's listed in New York, I think. He told the story of how he turned his business around by putting purpose first. And the argument that he made was, and I think it's also mentioned in the book Shoe Dog, which is the story about Nike. That the metaphor that they use is we all need oxygen to live. Just like a business needs money to operate.
Yes.
But you don't wake up in the morning thinking actively
That
I need to breathe.
Yes.
Same thing with a business. When you keep on focusing on the money, keep focusing on breathing, what's there to live for? And he explained it very well and said, like, let's put purpose first, because then the rest comes.
Just that statement is going to change my whole life.
That statement changed my life so much that I decided I'm going to resign.
Wow.
And follow and put this thesis to test, because I'm a scientist at the end of the day. There's this thesis, this hypothesis. Put purpose first, and the rest of your life will be sorted. And there's other examples of people who did that, who really lived prosperous lives. So now, why not give it a try when I have this opportunity, following the breakup and divorce, now that the Ph.D. is done, now that I don't have other responsibilities and I only have myself, let's put it to the test and see what happens.
Wow. I went and threw myself in the water with 6 other people, man. No, wow. You know, I know you a while. Why have we never had an actual conversation? We need to have more coffees, man. Thank you so much for joining me. You know, I'm going to have to meditate on some of this stuff. People are not giving us this information because we have to pay for it. And it costs us a lot of money to pay for this information. But we need it, especially in a time now where people are being retrenched in droves at the moment. We are being forced into entrepreneurship. And if we don't understand what our purpose is, our entrepreneurship journeys are just for nothing. We're doing it for oxygen, you know, as opposed to fulfilling something that we've been given to do in this lifetime. But I'm so blessed to have you. You've really spoken life to me. Like, yeah, this hasn't happened before.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure being on your show. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm sure we're going to be doing stuff together. Please give us a shameless plug for all of your social media and your YouTube account.
Thank you so much. So for your audience, it would be great if you guys could give me a follow. It's not just all about teachers. It's also about typical motivation in life and just following my journey. And I want to put my journey out there. So Super Teacher on all of the social media platforms, or just François Naude. You pop that into the search and I'm sure you'll find it. But YouTube specifically is www.youtube.com/superteachersunite. And I'll share all of the other social media links for you guys. But very soon I'll also be releasing my podcast, which will also be called Super Teachers Unite, and then very soon on TikTok as well.
Thank you so much, François, for your time. And thank you, Owning This Life family, for tuning into the show today. You know, I'm so blessed with the people that I get to sit with here and the kind of lessons that I've learned throughout this journey. I hope you have learned valuable lessons as well. And some of the nuggets that François dropped today, you really need to write down in your journal. Just remember that every Thursday, Owning This Life goes live on Facebook at 2 p.m. and on YouTube every Monday at 2 p.m. And we're also now on Spotify. So if you can't sit in front of a screen or download any of our video episodes, you can now download all the episodes that are on Spotify and listen to them wherever you are. So remember to sign up on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and email us if you have any suggestions to info@owningthislife.co.za.
I kinda like